So hopefully you figured it out. And how do I think about this? Well, what you really want to do is say, when you've gotten to this point and you have identified this row, you really want to think of it as something that looks like this. Why? Because you can merely walk down the row all the way up to the diagonal, but then you can't keep going in that direction, but you do know that those entries are actually stored below the diagonal in order instead. And what you're going to want to do is make that modification over here. And what you're going to see is that this is remarkably similar to splitting the range of a quantifier. What do? We say, well, let's take this quantifier, this summation here that expresses the dot product, and let's split it up into two parts. The first part and the second part. Now, if we do it this way, we simply compute the dot product twice, so that's no good, and we still access the entries above the diagonal. That's also not good. Okay? So what do we want to do? Well, everything is just fine here until you get to the diagonal. So now how do we identify the diagonal element? It's the element II. So we change this to I. And then we say down here we need to continue, and when you split the range you continue with I plus 1 all the way through n. Fair enough? But now we still have a problem. These entries here refer to entries below the diagonal. Why? Because j is less than or equal to I. Here, the ij refers to entries above the diagonal. Why? Because j is greater than I. But notice that to then identify those entries, or to find where those are actually stored, all we need to do is take I comma j and change it to j comma I. Alright? So, we take this and look at it this way. And we can actually go one step further in drawing the analogy with the splitting of the range by saying, maybe we actually want to work with that entry separately. In particular, we want to work with this entry separately because that's the entry that we actually are updating. And to make that clear, we can say, oh, let's actually in the middle here say y of I is equal to a of I comma I times x of I plus y of I. And then what we would want to do is do this range one less. All right? And now you can go and see how that compares to what you did, and you can see if you get the right answer when you do this.